Today, we've seen stocks making new all-time highs, and we look right here, the Fed rate cut with stock market at record highs. We're going to talk about what normally happens when this occurs. We look at the Fear and Greed Index. We are now back into greedy territory. So is Warren Buffett right? Is this a time to be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful? Or is it time to just pile on and ride Jay Powell's wave? We come over and look at how the indices fared across the board today. The Dow was up 522 points. The Nasdaq was up 440 points, and the S&P 500 up 95 points, with the Russell 2000 up 4.5. Right here is really what tells the tale. We look at advancing issues versus declining. 76.7% of issues advancing on the day. Then we look at how the sectors performed across the board. Technology by far outpacing everything else. Consumer defensives and utilities were the laggards out of the day. Every other sector was in the green today. Now, if you're a Tesla bull, you're probably smiling out here ear to ear today. Tesla up 7.36%, having a big, strong push on the way up. Now, I want to warn you guys, we do have the ABC pattern completion at about 248.71. And if you look right over here to the left, we also have that gap right over here coming back, potentially getting filled before we complete that ABC pattern. Is Tesla going to be on its way making it up towards that price point? Or are we going to see Tesla start coming back down? We look right here, the Fed rate cut with the stock market at record highs. Here's what history has to say. Now, if we look at this graph right down here, we can see, a few instances going all the way back to 1990 when the Fed has cut rates, when the S&P is within 1% of record highs. And we can see right here, percent away from record close. Well, record close, record close, record close. But let's look. We look over here at the stat and we can see 6-month performance. We're actually up 57.1% of the time. Performance on Fed day, and account not Wednesday as Fed day, but the day after, meaning Thursday, we're up 71% of the time. So it's no surprise that we were really up today. But let's take a look at what JP Morgan had to say. We scroll right down here real quick. Analysts at JP Morgan ran the data back 40 years, finding that the Fed has cut rates 12 times with the S&P 500 within 1% of all-time highs. The market was higher a year later, all 12 times with an average return of about 15%. So if this time is going to follow that stat as well, what does that mean for stocks going further? Has Jay Powell really orchestrated that soft landing? Or is this going to come crashing lower? We come over today, we look at the dollar index back on the move lower. Yesterday, we had that hammer candle after essentially flushing through the lows, closing back above it. Now we look at the MACD indicator. It's still below the zero line, getting ready to cross back down. Now, one beneficiary out there today was if we come over and take a look at gold. Gold, nice strong push on the way up 15 points on the session. And as we look at this, for all intents and purposes, gold is doing nothing more than an upper level consolidation at this time. Now, we do want to be mindful of a potential another ABC pattern within that one that we just completed. And that other ABC pattern completes all the way up here at 2670. Now, why would gold be able to make it up towards that price point? Well, if we look right here, we can see the Fed is still planning on aggressive rate cuts moving forward. So if the Fed's going to be aggressively cutting rates, that means the dollar is likely going to fall lower, which means gold is likely going to rally back up higher. We come over and look at the 10-year yield today. 10-year yield actually rising, but wait, I thought Jay Powell actually cut rates yesterday. Why is the 10-year yield on the way back up? Is this actually good for the economy or not? And I want to ask you guys a question. If we're cutting rates by 50 basis points while we're at or near all-time highs, what is this going to actually do for crude oil? Is crude oil going to start to rebound once again? Crude oil was one of the factors in the CPI report that was actually helping the CPI data not look as hot. Also, if interest rates do indeed go down, isn't this also going to cause the housing market to spike up a bit? We come over and we look at the yield curve. We can see we are steepening of the yield curve. Yes, today everything looks rosy. Everything is fine. Come on in. The water is warm. There is nothing to worry about. Or at least that's what they would like us to believe. We look at NVIDIA today, we see we have a little bit of a selling tail on top of the candle. NVIDIA was still able to close up 3.97%. We take a look at Meta closing at record all-time highs, I believe. Now we come over and look at Meta. I believe Meta closing at another new all-time high. And then even Apple was able to catch a bid today. Apple had a very good day. up 3.71%. And again, it was all about buy. J Powell coming to the rescue. Everything is fine. Come on in. The water is warm. However, when we come over and look at small caps today, small caps, we're actually closing with a hanging man type of candle. And if we look to the left, this is right where a structure point where we could see a little bit of a pullback in this market. And when we look at this, yesterday we had the last 2 days prior, we had back-to-back inverted hammers. Now a hanging man candle. If we break back below that candle, then maybe we're going to start to come down and start filling these gaps. However, if we break above it, we do still have this ABC pattern completion to the upside up here about 230.02. Now, as we come over, look at the diamonds, another hanging man type of candle gapping up. Now, what is likely going to occur? All right, is this going to be a reversal pattern? Keep in mind, the hanging man candle stick pattern is the weakest of all reversal patterns. Yes, it can be part of a reversal, but it is very, very weak. We need to get back down below the low of today, aka we need to come down and fill the gap from yesterday. Now, the gap's a little bit more obvious when we come out here and we look out here on the 30-minute chart. You can see the gap would be all the way down here at about 416.29. Now, on the 30-minute chart, you can also see MACD indicator trying to roll over, and we zoom this out. We have huge MACD divergence, and let's not forget, tomorrow is going to be quad witching. Now, I want to make everybody aware, Apex extended their 80% sale off all their evaluation accounts past in as little as 1 day. And what's even better, $85 activation fee on all account sizes. If you guys would like to take advantage of this offer, use the link in the description box down below and use promo code Mike at checkout. So we're going to talk about here in a few moments what I expect in terms of price action tomorrow. Out here on the Qs, we see the gap up. We have a candle of indecision, a spinning top type of candle. We look left, we have structure right over there as well. Then when we come over and we look at the 4-hour chart, notice we have that huge gap from today. Are we going to come back and fill it? We have large volume right here on the composite profile as well, which could act as a magnet pulling price back towards that area. Then we dive down, look at the 30-minute chart. Look, MACD indicator extremely elevated and now about to cross to the downside. Now tomorrow, some of the key levels I will want to focus on. One is going to be the top of the gap at about 480.55. This could be gap support. Then we have the gap fill all the way down here. Then we have the gap fill all the way down here at 471.31. Now tomorrow, it's going to be critical. Do we stay below value area low? Right now, we are currently below value area low. But then as we come over and we look at the futures markets, we're playing devil's advocate today during the live stream. We have a potential A to B equals C to D pattern, which would complete at 20,520. Now, we do have an untested point of control as well at 20,117. And we've had quite the push on the way up. I kept saying today, if we are breaking above that area, 20,117 would be a target location for us. Now, when we come over here and we look at the daily profiles, what do we see playing out? Well, this is an area we were watching all afternoon on stream, and we kept talking about it. I said the first time we come into it, expect to bounce. The market bounces back up. We come into it again, then I expect the second or third time we're actually going to push lower, and that's exactly what happened. And one of the areas we were talking about on the live stream was right down here near the R2 pivot point indicator, which comes in at 20,038. Now, we didn't make it all the way down there, but we made it very, very close. We look at the volume profile levels we'll be dealing with for tonight and tomorrow. 20,171 will be value area high. The point of control comes in at 20,129.00. Value area low will come in at 20,014.00. Now, how do I want to play this? Well, it's going to be very simple. If we break value area low, where are the logical targets? Well, the next area would be this other minus development area, which we talked about this morning during the live stream as well. And that comes in from about 19,964.00 to about 19,944. Now, if you want to make sure you don't miss the next live stream, make sure you're subscribed and you have the bell notifications turned on for all. Now, keep in mind, if we do tomorrow come into this minus development area, the first time we come into it, and that could be tonight or tomorrow, I expect the market to bounce out of that area. Boom, we bounce back up or consolidate down at this area. Now, if we consolidate at this minus development area, that's likely going to lead to another leg lower. Now, today's volume profile is a P as in Paul shaped profile. And let's talk about what I expect tomorrow. With tomorrow being quad witching, I expect we're going to have a D as in dog shaped profile try to form at least for a majority of the day, which means we're probably going to probe a little bit higher, taking out this high. We're probably going to probe a little bit lower, just kind of round out back and forth type of price action in the market tomorrow, especially when you look at the range today, 566 points. That was a massive, massive range out in the markets today. Now, when we come over and look at the SPY, we have a doji candle on a gap up at all-time highs in the market. We can also treat this as a hanging man candle. Now we were able to breach above the candle from yesterday, which looked bearish. However, we needed confirmation. The confirmation simply did not come today. So tomorrow, if we start closing below the low from today, then I want to look for the gap to be filled and potentially run a little bit lower, maybe down towards the middle of this leg right here, somewhere in the ballpark of about 554. And I'm not looking for that tomorrow, right? I don't think we're going to go from 570 to 554 tomorrow. If we do, we have bigger problems out there. On the 1 hour chart, MACD indicator looks like it may want to cross to the downside. And if we were to draw a line right across, we can see the high of the MACD indicator is higher than where it is over here. But as we pushed up to new all-time highs, the MACD indicator failing to confirm those highs. On the 30-minute chart, MACD indicator just getting ready to cross to the downside. Huge gap up today. So tomorrow, if we are trading below value area low, I want to look down here towards gap support as a target location, 568.11, then all the way down here towards the gap being filled at 561.35. Now, unfortunately, I have no big levels up above us. If you're looking for a higher level above us, we'd have to look on the daily chart for that ABC pattern on the way up, which completes at 593.33. That would be crazy if we made it all the way up there tomorrow, potentially filling out that pattern. Now, we come over here and we look at the 4 hour chart for the S&P 500. What do we see? Well, it looks like if we close up and around these areas, are we going to have 2 back-to-back weeks where we close outside of value? Most certainly something we do want to pay attention to. Now, if you look on the profile, we have no levels above us on the composite profile. However, if we look down, where is the most amount of volume traded at this time? Right down in this area, right near the weekly point of control at 56.97. So if we start to see weakness tomorrow or even early next week, this is going to be a target location. Then out here on the daily profiles, what do we see? Well, we still have this minus development area we were watching out here today, and we actually got 2 of them. We have one where the white line is here and the more of a zone down here. Now the white line is going to come in at about 57.46. It is a minus development area. It will be a target location I would want to focus on if we can get below value area low, which comes in at 57.65.75. Then the point of control will be 57.74.75. Value area high comes in up here at 57.85.75. So if we start breaking back below that area, watch out for the market to come down towards the white line and then back towards the zone right down here. Now, if we break the zone, the first time we come into these minus development areas, watch out, we could get a rejection from that point or we could consolidate around those areas. If we simply come into this area, we bounce, and then we come back down again, we're more likely going to break it on the second or third attempt down, similar to what we saw on the NASDAQ this afternoon. Now, tomorrow, I do anticipate a D as in dog shape profile. Does tomorrow actually produce that profile shape or not? We need to be on high alert. And keep in mind, if indeed we are going to form a D as in dog shape profile, that means selling at the upper edge, buying at the bottom edge is going to be a more suitable strategy for tomorrow. And keep in mind, quad witching, we get knee jerks back and back. Very seldom do we see a trend day on quad witching. Now, if you want to learn what will stop you from getting a payout with My Funded Futures, make sure to watch this video right here.